learning how to play our 2-octave C major and A minor scales on the bass. Now, 2-octave scales are a lot trickier on the bass than they are on some of the other instruments, and you'll find that with some keys, when you're getting up into 2 octaves, you would need to play it continuously, go pretty high up on their fingerboard. So C major is certainly one of those. I'm going to show you a version for if you're not quite ready for that level of challenge. You actually do use the thumb playing this one. So if you'd like to learn a lower version of it, we'll go ahead and cover that too. So let's go ahead and start with C major, and we're going to go ahead and start with the intermediate version. So one thing that you can do when you're playing 2-octave scales, the ones that start out a little bit higher on the instrument, so a little further away from your lowest note, your open E, is you can play part of the scale and then jump down an octave, and then play back up to where you started, and then play the first octave of the scale as the second octave of the scale. So that's one option for playing C major. So what that would look like is starting on our C, like we normally do with a C major scale. So you're going to play C, and then D. The next note is E, but what we can do is catch up with the bottom range of our instrument and play open E. And then you're going to need half position for F natural and G natural. So 1, 4 and half position. So 1 and half position, 4, and then we're up to A again, and then B, and then you're back to C, and then the same octave that you learned as a 1-octave version. So how that would look like descending. And then also when you're playing the 2-octave scales, we do an extra little note, a turnaround. So when you get up to the top C, you play the B again, back up to C, and then going down. And then another extra note there. So at the bottom of the scale, when you get down to the bottom after you've played it, you go C, D, C, so 1, 2, 1. At the top of the scale, it's 1, 7, 1 for C, B, C to play it with that turnaround. Now, the reason that we do the turnaround is because it's really convenient when the scale adds up to a nicely even divisible number of notes, ascending and descending, and adding that extra little note just makes it add up to 16 instead of 15, and with 16 we can divide that by 2, by 4, by 8, so we can play a really wide variety of different rhythms and bowings. Okay, so all together that C major scale sounds like this. You're welcome to play with me. I'm just going to play kind of a steady tempo, so starting on C. Good. Now let's go ahead and go over the higher octave. If you want to start with the C, and rather than jumping down to the open, you want to just keep going up. That's going to land you up here at the end of it, but it is a good idea to start working on that range of your instrument. So starting on C. It's different between 1 octave and 2 octave. Instead of shifting to second finger here, if you're going for the 2 octaves, you just play 4th finger, and then you go 1st finger here, and then we have 4th finger. Next you're going to shift to the 2nd finger, and this is about where you get to start using your 3rd finger. So you're going to place your 3rd finger then next. Good. And now you're going to bring that thumb up. And I actually have a piece of tape on my fingerboard here, and it's helpful if you do too. And then, so you play that actually with the thumb. You take the part that's right next to your knuckle, and you just press it right into that string and push the string down with the thumb. It may be a little bit uncomfortable at first, but the more you get used to playing with your thumb, you will kind of toughen up that part of the thumb, and then it won't continue to be uncomfortable. So. and then your whole step, and then remembering that a whole step is much closer together up here than it is down in first position. And then again, second finger, so you play thumb, first, second, and then third finger. Now for the second finger to the third finger, you should have just a little bit of space in between them, and then to get a clear sound in the upper range there, you want to bring the bow closer to the bridge. If you're getting kind of a fuzzy sound, it's probably because your bow is still up too close to the fingerboard, and as you shorten the string considerably, you've got to also get the bow closer to the bridge. So that's often a solution for the tone problem. So, and then again the turnaround. Next one is 3, and then 4. Okay, so the fingering that I just showed you, that is a fingering that's in the Habits of a Successful String Musician book. With bass fingerings, if you're taking lessons or getting some coaching from a bass teacher and they suggest you do a different fingering, go ahead and do the fingering that they suggest. One thing I found about bass, even more than some other instruments, is there's a lot of different ideas of what the fingering should be. So the book says go up to thumb position here, but there certainly are some other alternatives for the fingering. The main thing is when you get to the top of the scale, generally if you're up in this range, you want it to be a 1, 2, 3 at the top. Using your third finger, which we don't use down here, but 1, 2, 3 up at the top, and as long as you end up on the third finger and then your shifts are methodical, there's a number of different fingerings that you could use. All right, so that is the 2-octave C major scale on the bass, and choose which one you want to be working on. I'd say if you're a little bit uncomfortable up here still, maybe you could do the lower octave. But once you get used to playing up here, it is actually really kind of fun to be playing in the upper register of your instrument. Okay, next we're going to be moving on to A minor. Okay, now we're going to go on to our 2-octave A minor scale, and we're just going to start with the open A and then just go up this one continuously. It also does go up pretty high, and but you don't have to use your thumb for this one, so I think that makes it a little bit less challenging, but you do still have to kind of navigate the upper range of the fingerboard. If you've got some markers on your fingerboard, I've got markers here for the first finger, so on the G string that would be A, and then B, C natural, D, and then G up here. So those are good places to have markers. It just kind of helps you as you're learning your fingerboard to navigate using those marks, because there's quite a bit of space there. It's really easy to hit it wrong. So anyway, one of the challenging things about the melodic minor scale is it is different going up and going down, and so that means that you do use a different fingering. You can't just do the fingering going up and then play the same thing going down. It is a different fingering. In fact, it is even a different fingering than your 1-octave A minor scale. So if you've learned A minor, you're actually going to use a different fingering when you do the 2-octave version, even for the lower octave. So let's get started. You're welcome to play with me. In fact, I encourage you to. Open A is the first one. This is, we start out pretty similar to the other version that we learned, the 1-octave. There's B, F, C natural, D, E, and then F sharp, ascending. Now here is where the fingering diverges from your 1-octave version. You're going to shift up to G sharp, and then A. Now G sharp is right in between those two tapes that I've got here. Now when you shift up and you're not on the highest string yet, that means you're going to have to shift back when you move to the next string, or else there's going to be too big of a step. So after the A, we play B. So that's just a little shift back, half step. And then second finger for C. And then we go to the first finger here, D. Fourth finger for E. Next note is F sharp. And so you're going to shift up to there, and then remember the F sharp is just a half step lower than G. So if you have a marker for G, you want to go almost up to it, but you don't go all the way to it. So F sharp, And then we play G sharp, which is second finger is now first and second finger are now stretching a whole step. They're closer together up there so they can do it. And then you play third finger for the A. You do the turnaround, which is G sharp, and then back up to the A. Now you're going to play G natural, and you're going to go ahead and grab that with your first finger, and if you've got a tape, it's right there. If you don't have a tape, you do have a harmonic there. Okay, so going from third finger, second finger for G sharp, back to third finger, and then first finger for G natural. And then you're going to play fourth finger, and that's your F natural, and then E, and then that's second finger, and then D is fourth finger, and then first finger, back to here, fourth finger, and then just like we learned before. Another turnaround there at the bottom of the scale. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through that nice and slow together. Here we go. Shift here. Little shift back. Second. Shift first. Fourth. Shift to first. Whole step. Half step. Turn around. Whole step down. Fourth finger. Second. Fourth. So just remember, because basses have fewer notes within each position on a given string, you're just going to do a lot more shifting, which means it's really, really important that you take time to memorize the fingerboard, that you're really working on learning the geography of the fingerboard, so you don't wait to learn the position notes until you're going up on the G string and can no longer play them in first position. It's a good idea to know the notes that are down here on another string up here, and then maybe even up here, and then as you start going up to the upper range, just don't be afraid of it. Remember to move your bow closer to the bridge as you move up, and then always listening really carefully. It's actually, I think, a little easier to tune up here in the upper range. You can hear it better than the low notes. So make sure that you're always listening and striving to play in tune and with a good tone. So good luck with the 2 octave scales. Memorize the fingering first, play slowly at first, and then gradually pick up the tempo. And as always, don't worry if the other instruments seem to be able to play it faster than you. That's just the way it works. It's not you, and you're doing just fine. All right, have fun. See you next time.